They say that talking to yourself is a sign of insanity. But I think that's only if you answer back. Right? Right. This is Talking to Myself, the Art Advice podcast where I use anecdotes from my own life to try to make myself a better artist, and possibly a better person. While others may get some benefit from this, mostly I'm just trying to avoid paying for therapy. On today's podcast, I thought we'd discuss something a little serious, not really, kind of, maybe, sorta. Apologies in advance if this subject is serious for you. I'm going to take it in a light vein because of the nature of the subject. Today I'm talking about depression as it relates to being an artist. Now, I've never been clinically diagnosed as depressed. I have seen a therapist a couple of times for various problems I've had in my life. Never been prescribed any medication or anything. I've just been more borderline moody, I guess is what you'd call it. And I sympathize with people who actually have real clinical depression. That's no joke. That stuff is serious and can cause some major problems. And if you do happen to have that, definitely seek some help. My problems were always milder than that, but very pervasive. I sometimes ruminate, get into really depressive moods, and lose all focus. I lose all impetus to do anything. Don't care about anything. I've mentioned before on here that apathy is like a shield, but it can also be like an anchor if it keeps you from doing anything at all. And when I was in high school, like a lot of people in high school, I dealt with depression. Most people that age tend to come across that, I think. And I spoke to some other creatives at the time, and they were like, you really need to work when you're depressed because that's when you get your best stuff. That's when you have your best expressive art. They were talking about poetry, which I think paints a kind of picture as to the sort of discussion we were having here. And I did try that. I made some horrific poetry, and I also tried to use my depression to make better art. But the problem is, when I get depressed, or down, or whatever you want to call it, I don't have the energy to do anything because I just don't care. I look at what I'm trying to do and I think to myself, if I accomplish this, it won't make any difference. It does no good. It's not worth anything. So why bother? That's obviously a depressed point of view. And I try to get myself out of that point of view before I try to do something creative because it's poison to me. It just makes everything harder. It's like training with weights on. But the main thing I wanted to bring up today is not the fact that I find it difficult to work when I'm depressed. That's not that ground shaking of a realization, I suppose. I've come up with a sort of an analogy or just a way of putting it to myself as to what it means to me to be depressed and still try to get some work done. And what I call it is playing fetch with the black dog. Because I'm incredibly witty and cutesy sayings are fun for me. For those of you not familiar, the black dog is a term used for depressive feelings or melancholy. If you're being visited by the black dog, or if you've seen the black dog, it means that you're down. You don't feel good. You're unhappy for whatever reason. And it's kind of a cliche, but it also plays nicely into an analogy or a metaphor for fetch, because what I do is, recognizing that I'm depressed, I make something and I throw it out into the world. And the accomplishment of that is just enough, usually, to get the black dog to leave me alone for a second. In the analogy, the black dog then retrieves, right? It's like you're throwing them a play toy or a snack or something, and it goes away for a little bit. Now, sadly, this analogy also holds true in the fact that it comes back. It always comes back. It seems to always come back. You're never going to send the black dog away by doing this, but if they're hanging around anyway, maybe throwing something out there, getting that small burst of confidence and goodwill that you feel from producing something, gets them off your back enough that you can concentrate on making something better. If you're lucky, the thing you make that's better will keep them away for longer. It's kind of a dark analogy. I mean, it's not a great way to live life or anything, but sometimes that's the only way I get through, quite frankly. And I'm realizing that seeing other people's posts, when I look at what they're posting or whatever they're sending out, I'm like, did they really need to post that? It wasn't the best thing ever. I don't understand. It's good to be kind to people. I have definitely posted things that weren't quality level I'd like to post, simply because if I don't get something out there, I'm going to feel horrible about myself for a while. I need to do something, and I need to get it out there to feel like I'm actually doing something. Because I can sit here at my desk and draw all day for myself, and I get a tiny bit of satisfaction, but nothing like if I throw it out there and show the world that at least I'm still alive and I'm doing something. So kind of a meandering, surprise, surprise, roundabout way to say, if you're feeling down, try making something anyway. Doesn't have to be good. Just finishing anything might give you just enough confidence or goodwill to push through and make something better. And if you see people putting stuff out there that you're wondering why it's not as good as they normally do, or not great, or why would you even post that, go easy on them. They might just be playing fetch. Thanks everybody for listening. I appreciate you being here. Special thanks to all my patrons on Patreon. You guys get to hear and see these a week earlier than everyone else, and you are the shiniest people I know. Until next week, everybody, take care of yourself. If you need help, seek it out. And I'll see you soon.